Most important advice would be decluttering, because over the years we accumulate stuff, and stuff is not appealing to potential buyers. So the more that you can declutter your home and get rid of all the bits and pieces, not to the extent that I've heard silly things like removing family portraits and stuff like that because it distracts buyers, but just simply decluttering the house, getting rid of excess furniture. You can stick it in the garage if you have a lock-up garage, so where it's high and dry. You can pack that to the hilt if you want, as long as it's not in the house. When a buyer approaches a house, if they approach it on a positive note and all they see is positives, positives will grow. If they approach a house and they start off with a negative, negatives will multiply much faster, and before they've even seen the whole house, they would have already ruled it out. The first thing, the biggest frustration that buyers have is underquoting, which is running rife throughout the whole of Melbourne. Agents seem to think that they can't avoid it because everyone does it, then they need to do it. It's not the case. So trying to ascertain the actual price that they're asking for the property, that can be difficult. You have to approach the agent direct and you have to ask them. A lot of times they still won't tell you, but yes, it's important to work it out so that you're not wasting your time looking at a property that is outside your price bracket. Emotion is another factor that you take into account. You buy a house not because it's cute, because it's you love it. You buy it because it's practical for your purposes. It has the right number of bedrooms for your fit out. It has, if it's a house on a full-size block, you've got a lot of gardening to do. So do you have time to do the gardening? Would you be better off in a house on a half block, what we refer to as a dual lock property? This will give you more time, family time, less time maintenance and home maintenance as far as that goes. Auctions are not always a necessity in the market. In fact, you've got to consider factors like if you do auction your property, if your property does fall into the category for first home buyers, then you're pretty much eliminating them from the auction. When a first home buyer, or anyone for that matter, goes to the bank to see what they can borrow, inevitably the bank will tell them when you buy a property, make sure you make it subject to finance, just in case. And that, in actual fact, is the bank or the broker protecting themselves because they haven't got all of your information, and the fear is that when you do apply for the actual loan, you may find that you've got some skeletons in the cupboard that they don't like, and therefore they will reject your application. We have just introduced a new business, basically, or a new way of purchasing called Market Buy. You will be seeing more of that in coming months. We trialled it recently. It's a way for people to make offers on a property online over a period of time. They have time to think, they can see what the other offers are so they know exactly where they stand. The one we did recently, it exceeded the vendor's expectations by over $50,000 more than they wanted. The market is not as seasonal as it used to be. It used to be that your prime selling times were autumn and spring. What's actually started to happen with those is they've become almost a negative time to sell because everybody thinks that's the best time to sell, so they put their homes on the market and therefore they have a lot of competition. I had a gentleman that I sold an investment property to about 15 years ago in Croydon, and we became quite good friends from there on. This is a big name identity person who likes to keep a low profile. He came to me the other day because he'd recently sold an investment property and he was looking for another one, and he asked for my advice to help him. I didn't have a property that suited him, but because of our friendship, I was quite prepared to investigate other potential properties and good value for an investor. This gentleman turns 100 years old this year. He is one of the original rats of Tobruk. He has fought in Second World War in Europe and in New Guinea, and he is quite an amazing gentleman. And yet he is still buying a property. Now, I did assist him. He did actually purchase a property recently, which I will be managing for him. And I suppose the funny aspect of all of this would be in the discussions I had with this gentleman. I said, look, he was looking at apartments, and I said, look, I don't recommend apartments. They're not good value for long term. And the response I got back from him was a bit of a chuckle, and he said, John, I don't really care about long term. He said, I just want good return on my investment now.